Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the REC podcast, brought to you by the REC Toycast. Today, we have an exclusive, an Icarus extra,
if you will.
I am your host, Roman Chavez, and with me, as always,
Erik, Icarus, the exclusive.
The exclusive Erik Icarus. He's got a little something special for you guys today. Erik had a little interview.
I did, yeah. This is I had a chance to talk to Mr. Tom Neely. He's a LA-based artist.
Okay.
He did the Henry and Glenn Forever comics.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what that is, folks, go Google it. It's amazing. But he's a lot more than that, in my opinion.
Yes.
He's done a graphic novel called The Blot, which is just amazing.
Yeah.
Just check it out and buy it. It's worth it. He's also done a graphic novel called The Wolf, and he's done a lot of cool artwork for bands like the Melvins, Isis, the band.
Which is kind of where you discovered.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
I managed to, it was a lot of his artwork. It was mainly for Henry and Glenn, though.
Yeah. So was that your first?
That was my first introduction to Mr. Tom Neely, was this fabled underground comic book, which is kind of like a coloring book now that you can buy on his website, and it's just
IWillDestroyYou.com.
That's right. And he was nice enough to give me some time. I had some questions. He had some time and nice enough to give it to me. And this is just kind of hopefully the first in a lot of cool interviews I'd like to do with other artists and writers and within the genre.
Yeah.
So this is our premiere interview episode.
Yeah, this is what we're calling for right now an Icarus Extra.
Yep.
Stay tuned. We'll talk a little bit at the end. And here we go.
Rolling.
All right, sounds good.
So, how you been, man? How's it in LA right now?
Oh, it's eerie. There's no traffic for the first time in 20 years.
I know. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's strange. Everything's on lockdown, but we're kind of business as usual for me because I'm a cartoonist, so I'm not shut in, and I draw all day by myself anyway. So.
Oh, that's awesome, though. I mean, yeah, like you said, business as usual.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, but I just wanted to get into So, what did you grow up in LA? Are you a native, or did you move from somewhere?
No, I grew up in Paris, Texas, a small town not too far from Dallas.
Oh, okay.
I've been in LA since 2000, so I've been out here 20 years now.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a pretty cool move going from Texas to LA. I mean, what made you want to migrate out there? Was it sort of like the culture, or just wanted to get out of Paris, Texas, maybe?
I think from early on wanting to be an artist, I knew I needed to get out of Texas eventually, but I always kind of, when I was younger, I always thought I would end up being in New York, but then I ended up going to art school in San Francisco, and around the same time some of my friends moved to LA from back home, and so I ended up hanging around here a lot and ended up sticking with LA. I don't know, it just worked out. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool how you just kind of have friends that, maybe inspire you to kind of move forward onto other things,
Yeah.
I was kind of noticing that, music plays a big part of your art. What were like some of the first bands that you kind of got into?
Oh, definitely it's always been a big influence. As long as I can remember when I was, my brother is about 6 years older than me, and he's a musician, so early on he was a big influence. So we were way into like Kiss and everything when we were kids. But I think, honestly, like not to lead into my comics, but
please do.
The Misfits were actually one of the first things that I kind of discovered on my own outside of my brother's influence. And when I was in about the 6th grade, I came across a friend of mine that I skateboarded with, gave me a tape, and it was the first time I heard Misfits, blew me away, and I was like, okay, now I kind of geared my path after that for a while.
Oh, that's awesome.
More punk and obscure stuff, but yeah.
It's kind of cool because I feel like the Misfits also kind of had an interesting art design for their whole spiel almost. It played a big part in their advertising, their marketing. I wouldn't say that it. I don't see it reflected in your art, but I could see kind of maybe the darkness creeping in a little bit right there.
Oh, definitely. When I was a kid, growing up in a tiny farm town in Texas, I had never heard anything like them. When I first heard him say, "I killed your baby today," I was like, when I was in the 6th grade, I was like, what is this evil? I shouldn't be listening to this. But I immediately knew that that's what I wanted to listen to. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, it kind of led me towards that. But I was already into like some, darker comics and horror movies, even pretty young. So,
sure.
It all just kind of fit.
Right. Everything just kind of lines up. It's those awesome dominoes that make our adolescence, they just kind of fall over.
Yep.
But that's when you got to LA, was that when you first started to maybe push the art a little bit more? Like, did you know you were like, okay, I'm going to be a cartoonist, or were you maybe wanting to just do straight up paintings for for sale?
So again, like growing up in a small town, I kind of only was exposed to like superhero comics growing up. So
sure.
Early on, that's what I wanted to do was comics. But when I got into like high school, I kind of started to outgrow Spider-Man and stuff a little bit, and so I got more interested in fine arts. So I ended up going to school for painting and fine arts, and that's what led me to San Francisco. I got an MFA in painting at the San Francisco Art Institute. But while I was at that school in San Francisco, I kind of became very disillusioned with the art world as it is, and at the same time rediscovered through the comic shops of San Francisco underground comics and alternative comics, and realized like there was a whole DIY community around me of people making comics themselves that weren't superhero related at all. And so that kind of like, so immediately after getting my MFA in painting, I moved to LA, tried to get a job in animation, and started trying to make my own comics independently. So, in a roundabout way, I always wanted to make comics, but with some sidetracks into fine arts and animation along the way.
No, for sure. You just I think they all kind of run parallel to each other in some ways. You're gonna jobs where you can get them.
I've kind of always worked a little bit in both. Comics has always been my main passion, but I do enjoy painting and still doing fine art type stuff and crossing over between the two when it works. So I think it all works together.
Definitely. I mean, so at this point you get this going, and then do you do Henry and Glenn forever? Is that kind of your first push into this world? I mean, 'cause I know it started out kind of as a Xerox thing, because I remember there was me being a teenager and hearing about this fabled thing and not having been able to see it for a while. It was a kind of a big deal, and it was amazing to actually finally see it. So did it start out kind of like that, kind of like a Xerox copy and paste sort of thing?
Yeah, it literally started between me and 3 of my friends at a bar one night, just talking about art and stuff, and one of them just like threw up the idea, and we just kind of ran with it, doodling on bar napkins just to amuse each other. So I was already making like my own self-published comics at the time, but nothing that has led to anything at that point.
Sure.
Early attempts. So I was already doing some of the smaller comics festivals, so I made a little Xerox zine of those Henry and Glenn comics that I thought they were just dumb bar napkin doodles, but people really loved them, and soon I picked up a publisher, and it just kept growing from there. So it started around 2004 in the bar napkin doodles phase, and then by 2009 we got a publisher for the first version of it, and then it just continued from there to now it's like a hardback book with like over 50 artists involved. And then most recently I've been doing making toys, carrying the concept over into like art toys and stuff. So it's been a fun new venture.
Wow. So. I'm so into that. I'm gonna have to go on, maybe check some of that out. That's awesome.
Yeah, I just made I teamed up with this friend of mine who has a new toy company called Rocon Toys. And yeah, we designed sort of an Astro Boy style Glenn and a Gigantor style Henry as like vinyl robot toys. And we ran a Kickstarter last year, and it was successful, and we just released them, and they're pretty awesome. There's a bunch of different color versions, so yeah.
Honestly, that's kind of like my go-to Christmas gift is the Henry and Glenn book.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like finally actually getting to see it, like, back when I was a teenager and like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Like, I mean, it seemed like it was coming from a place of love. It didn't seem like you were like trashing him or trying to, belittle him. It definitely seemed like it was, some fans kind of having fun with the concept of these two macho, muscle-bound punk heroes. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I mean, I like I said, it was one of the first. Misfits was one of the first things that changed my musical taste as a child. So, like, I've always been a huge Glenn Danzig fan, and Rollins and Black Flag and everything too. Like, I met Rollins in when I was in college. He did a spoken word show at my school in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and got to interview him for the local paper with my friend, but he doesn't remember that at all. But
oh, wow.
But yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of them for a long time, so it does come from a place of love, but it's, just, I don't know, just like something about the idea of just, they're the two most kind of macho, I mean, outwardly, especially back in the day.
Oh, for sure.
Their persona was, very macho, aggressive.
Yeah.
What could be seen today as like almost toxic masculinity.
Yeah, big time.
So it just kind of became fun to like poke fun at that. So
for sure. I feel like Henry's kind of learned from that. He's definitely, I think, matured, and whereas maybe Glenn's still kind of stuck in his ways a little. Have you
Henry's
spoke to either
evolved.
Of them?
Not personally, but Henry wrote in LA Weekly. He wrote an article about censorship and the art form of parody and satire, and he mentioned how much he likes that Henry England exists, but he claims he's never read it.
Really?
But he has a sense of humor, and he said he loves that it exists. But on the other hand, Glenn has called me an asshole in Rolling Stone magazine and threatened to sue me, but he hasn't yet. So.
Wow, that just goes to show the different types of people they are.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I mean, that was a good thing for me to like get into as a teenager. Like, oh wow, this is art and music. But the thing that I really was amazed by was The Blot. Is this moving forward 2007-ish?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that was my first graphic novel. Yeah, 2007.
Yeah,
which I was creating around the same time that we were doing just like the early versions of Henry and Glenn. So it was a weird sidebar at the time. And like working on a serious poetic art comic, and then like these dumb little like gags about my rock heroes was like becoming popular. So
I know,
but
it's got to be weird living those two worlds a little bit, But it probably could coexist because they probably kept you, because some of the subjects I was grasping from The Blot are very, existential and very dark, but also very funny. There's some very dark humor in there to be appreciated. So I think, it's kind of maybe healthy to have a comedic outlet to your more dramatic outlet. And,
Definitely, yeah. I think I've always enjoyed bouncing around some different ideas and different styles. So it's it keeps me a little bit more balanced, I think.
That's awesome, and it's just, I mean, I just can't talk enough about The Blot because getting that I was probably 19 or 20 when that came out and getting it, and I think it found me at the right time. And it's funny because I'm really into music. I'm a musician too, and I always equate art to records, and I show people that, I'm like, or I tell them about it, I'm like, it's sort of like it's visceral, but it's comforting. It's like a Tom Waits album to me, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's kind of how I feel from it, Were you, I mean, we don't have to get too hardcore into it, but was there a lot of stuff going around in your life at the time, or were you pulling from more of a past stuff to produce this, The Blot?
It was a lot of everything. The Blot, it was my first time I'd been self-publishing a lot of mini comics and trying a lot of experiments for about, I don't know, I started making comics around 98, 99. So, it's probably almost 10 years into like trying that with little Xerox self-published things that never went anywhere. But The Blot, like, I did the first chapter and something about it just really resonated with me. I felt like I was onto something. So I released it as a mini comic, just the first chapter, but then, it got a good response, and I was just like, well, maybe, I'll expand on this story. So that kind of led to the full graphic novel. But it was it pulled on a lot of things because it started as a series of paintings. So kind of like going back to my art school days, I started as just like, it was like I think around 18 or 20 paintings that were just sort of like single images that were, told a little bit of a story in each image narratively, but you didn't really, there was no like connection between them.
Right.
But so the graphic novel became a way of just kind of like telling the rest of that story. And it kind of grew out of that. So pulled from like a lot of my early influence. I grew up loving like PC Cigars, Popeye and everything, but also from my art days, like surrealism and Rene Magritte in particular were like big influence. So I've kind of said like probably Cigar and Magritte are the two biggest influences on that book, The Blot.
Wow.
But also, like, you mentioned music. I've always been very influenced by music, and at that time, I actually was. I remember listening a lot to the band Isis, who are now disbanded, luckily due to the name. But,
right. I know.
They at the time they're up and coming. Or no, not up and coming. They're already pretty big at around 2007. But
right.
thinking man's metal music, and I was really into them at the time. And then coincidentally, when the book came out, I randomly met Aaron Turner, the singer, guitarist of the band, at my comic shop the day that my book came out. So we became friends after that.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and that led to a lot of work that I did for Hydra Head Records and some other bands and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
That was my next lead-in question. Did you do a collaboration with Aaron? Wasn't it called The Wolf? I didn't get a chance to see it, unfortunately.
Well, sort of. The Wolf was my second graphic novel, and it came out in 2011. And it was. It started off, Aaron and I were starting off to collaborate. He was going to write a soundtrack to go along with the book.
Oh, that's right.
We got about halfway through it, and I think due to some other projects and stuff coming up, he had to duck out of it. That was around the time that ISIS was splitting up too, so I think there was a lot going on, and he just had to drop out of it. So
for sure.
I did end up releasing the book, but it doesn't have this. And I ended up recording a soundtrack myself.
Oh,
but
nice.
yeah. So Aaron and I remained friends and collaborated on some other stuff through his record label, Hydra Head. But his collaboration for The Wolf didn't happen.
Oh, bummer. Yeah, I need to check that one out. I feel like it's one of the only ones I haven't seen of your work. Getting into your Image days, The Human.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yes.
This is something I recently got into. It's amazing.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm working on the sequel right now.
I was ready to ask you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did you hook up with Keller?
We have been friends since about, I don't know, I think we met around 2008, 2009 through comics. He also lives here in LA, and we met at a really small local comics festival, and just had a lot of similar taste in comics and music, and just hit it off, and realized we only lived a mile apart, so we became best friends almost instantly.
That always helps.
Yeah, and he was also self-publishing and writing and drawing his own weird comics, like Galactic Breakdown, and which is like a completely surreal, drugged out sci-fi space opera.
Definitely.
And so we just hit it off, and we were like always hanging out, having beers and talking about comics and stuff. And actually, it was like around the time that after the Wolf came out, and it kind of. I think artistically, the Wolf is one of my best works, but it failed to get a distributor or an audience or bookstores that would support it. So it's financially my worst failure. So, but I think it's artistically one of my best works. So it's a weird thing. Anyway, I've got a whole warehouse full of them.
Oh, wow.
And so at that point, I was feeling like, well, self-publishing isn't working. Maybe I should try something more bigger, something that could like maybe actually attract a bigger publisher.
Sure.
And Keenan and I were just shooting around ideas, and I was like, talking about like maybe I should talk to some writers about, you know, maybe some mainstream writers I could collaborate with. And he just was like, well, I was like, I don't know if you'd want to do it, but I have this idea for these, the motorcycle gang of gorillas. And I was like, what? And he just pitched me the idea. We were sitting in a bar, and he just told me the idea. I was like, yeah, that's all I want to draw. And so I went home and started working up concepts, and it just kind of grew from there. And he had started off with the idea. He had kind of a full story idea in college as a screenplay that he kind of thought would never be able to make for the budget, to have a bunch of apes on motorcycles. Oh. So he had always been sitting on this idea, and he just threw it at me, and I was like, yeah. So we just started fleshing out the idea from there, and we, you know, a lot of it initially sprang from his writing and his ideas, but we really, it was great to like really create it together and kind of flesh out the world together, and it's been a really, you know, cool collaboration. It's not
I would
just
say,
like
yeah.
Writer artists working together. We're just like building this whole thing. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it seems like you're all having a blast creating it. I mean, it's Planet of the Apes meets Easy Rider in a way.
Yep.
It's
totally.
got that super feel to it, like that gritty kind of.
Yep.
It's amazing, and I also kind of noticed later after reading it that you had like a soundtrack to go to it. Like these bands were giving you these songs to go to the to the comic book or the graphic novel. You
totally.
know?
Yeah,
I thought that was great.
Yeah, well, Keenan and I are both big into music and have a lot of friends that are in bands and stuff. His wife is in a lot of bands. At the time, she had a band called Smelly Tongues, who did our first single with the flip side with the Zigzags, who are good friends of ours as well.
Oh, nice.
So after we released that 7-inch with our issue 0, and then we just asked a bunch of friends, like, hey, do you want to write songs for us? And we ended up releasing, I think, 26 songs, original songs as the soundtrack for The Humans.
Yeah.
So each issue we had in the back matter, we'd say, hey, there's 2 new songs, go check them out.
Oh yeah,
so
they were all
fun.
killers. Were they all LA musicians, or were some of them out of town?
There was a lot of LA, but it's kind of all over the place. We had one band, Sir Lord Cloudsley Shovels from the UK, another band from New Orleans. We had a couple of songs from 2 bands from Australia that have not been released yet, because so we might actually end up releasing them with a sequel in the future.
Oh, cool.
The next book we're working on.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we want to keep doing the soundtrack aspect. It's just a lot of fun to do.
So it adds to it. I actually reread it while listening to some of it, and I'm like, it adds this aura of dread almost. You know, it's pretty awesome. I can dig it. Great idea. I thought that was brilliant. That's a really great idea. Going into maybe more of the present. What are you working on anything new?
Yeah, I am working on the sequel to the Humans is a 10-issue miniseries released now. It's available as 2 volumes from Image Comics. So essentially I'm working on what would be volume 3, but it's going to be called The Jungle, and it's another 10-issue series that'll eventually be volume 3 and 4. And spoiler alert, it's a prison comic. So we follow our heroes from the humans into prison. So
oh wow.
I'm halfway through penciling issue 2 right now. We don't have a release date yet for when it's coming out, but I wanted to get a lot of it drawn before we schedule everything with Image so we don't miss any scheduling.
Right.
Yeah, it's going well, and we're really, really happy with it so far. It's continuing the saga, but it's a little bit different. It's because it's in prison. It's a little grittier, a little darker.
Nice.
But yeah. It's a lot of fun. I'm having a good time drawing it.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I can even just kind of sense the claustrophobia that's going to be present in this book. You know?
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited to read it.
Maybe being quarantined for the next 2 months while drawing it will help add to the claustrophobia.
I mean, just that we kind of spilled into it a little bit. Oh my goodness. I have to ask you one quick thing too, man. I noticed you did a book with the Melvins.
Yeah, that came out of again Hydra Head Records friendship with Aaron Turner. they put out a vinyl release of their album, A Senile Animal, and asked me to write a comic book to go along with it. So yeah, that was
awesome.
fun.
Oh, cool. Did you get to meet Buzz?
Put that up on. I did eventually meet Buzz, but when I'm working on the comic book, I didn't hear from them at all. Actually.
Oh wow.
At one point, wrote to them asking if they could send me lyrics that I could use as like dialogue in the comic.
Sure.
And the answer came back from Buzz, I don't have them written down anywhere. I quote, I don't have them written down anywhere.
Oh,
so I was
Buzz.
like, okay, that's the involvement they had in the comic. They're just like, do
wow.
whatever you want. And then I sent them pages, and they're like, we love it. So,
oh, nice. Short and sweet. Yeah. I dig it. That is so cool.
Yeah, it's called, and I was thinking about it this week because it's called Your Disease Spread Quick, and it's very much about a very infectious disease. So, unfortunately, it's out of print right now, but maybe I'll put it up online.
Oh, I know. I was just thinking, like, I saw that. I was like, okay, I gotta get a copy of this. And can you find all your stuff on Igloo or I'm missaying this one. Igloo Tornado. No, sorry.
IWillDestroyYou.com is my main website.
Okay.
Yeah, IWillDestroyYou.com, and then
Sweet.
The humans is HumansForLife.com.
Cool. Okay. It's yeah, because I did go on your Igloo Tornado. Is that like your own little art collective? Is that kind of where everyone kind of is like an umbrella for all the artists?
Yeah, well, that was the original 4 guys that started Henry and Glenn Forever, but it's kind of disbanded now. I don't even run that website anymore.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, is it on Facebook or? I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah. But Igloo Tornado was me and the 3 guys that created Henry and Glenn Forever, but it's kind of disbanded. It was just like an art collective of 4 friends, but 2 of us are still in LA. Or 3 of us are still in LA, but 1 works in animation now. 1 moved to Colorado.
Oh.
I'm the only one still making comics.
Oh, nice.
So,
you have the drive for it. I mean, that's amazing. And yeah, I just really want to thank you for your time. Is there where can the kids find you at?
My Instagram is IWillDestroyTom, and my Twitter is Tom Neely Art. I'm not on Facebook, but my website is IWillDestroyYou.com. And yeah.
That's awesome.
And I have a Patreon that is patreon.com/Tom Neely if anybody wants to subscribe and follow me there. I post a lot of updates of what I'm working on. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, Tom. I really appreciate this. Thank you for your time. And yeah, great. I can't wait to see all your new stuff coming out. It's going to be great. And just stay safe out there.
Yeah, thanks. You too. Yeah.
Best interview I've heard all year, man. Best interview I've heard all year.
Sweet, man.
All right, man. So what was that like for you? Being somebody, when you came to me with this idea,
right.
I was, I profess I did not know who Tom Neely was by name. I am familiar with the Humans.
Right.
I actually bought issue 1 because I usually buy issue 1s of Image Comics.
Sure.
So, I don't think I actually read it, but when you started showing me some of his artwork, this Image stuff I was familiar with.
Right.
But that Henry and Glenn Forever it's just, the concept is so hilarious, and I haven't read it, but I've just seen all those stills and seen pages from it online wise, and man, but that the blot that seems really out there and fascinating, and how it's kind of he says that he's a cartoonist, and so it's very cartoony, but with this, like you said, dread, to it. So I'm gonna have to get that from you when I get a chance.
Oh, for sure. Again, this was somebody that I had admired for a while, and
I remember you had brought up the Henry and Glenn thing, and I was like, that's so silly. Why would anybody do that? You're like, dude, it's gold.
It is. Yeah.
And I'm not a big. I like Danzig, I like Henry Rollins, but I don't own any albums,
Yeah, just by proxy.
By proxy, yes.
For me.
So,
he was just reaching out to him. He was very nice. He was more than happy to do this for us, and I can't thank him enough. He actually gave me a chance.
Yeah.
And I really hope he enjoys the interview. I think he did. And, Yeah, great dude. Go buy his stuff. It's amazing, and just go get it.
Yeah, go check it out.
He's a great artist.
We included some of the imagery in the video so that you guys could kind of get a feel of it. That imagery for the wolf was haunting,
Yeah, right.
terrifying,
Oh,
and
totally.
yeah, and honestly, and I can say this as somebody who's just a fan, a mainstream comic guy, and seeing all of those different art styles that he does. I mean, if you would have laid them out for me and said, "Hey, what do you think is the connecting factor here?" I would have never said the same artist did this.
Definitely,
I would have never said
it's his fine art background.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy is a classically trained artist. He went to school for it, and it's cool how you're right. He can genre hop.
No, it's completely insane. I would if I ever see him at a con, I would like to see him draw something a little mainstream if he would do that, and I wouldn't want it to be an insult, but I'd be very curious to see what his take would be on some of that. Those iconic characters. Said he grew out of Spider-Man. What does the Tom Neely version of I've grown out of Spider-Man look like?
Oof.
I'm very curious.
I want to see it too.
I'm very curious. So, guys, that has been our show for today. Erik, thank you so much for putting that together for our listeners. For me, I was captivated.
Cool,
it made me.
Sweet.
It's putting me on the hunt.
Cool.
It's putting me on the hunt. And any comic book collector loves to be on the hunt.
Definitely.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. If you like what we're doing, please hit that subscribe button. Give us a like. Comment below. Tell us who's some people you might want us to track down. Try to talk to. We'll sick the Icarus on them.
Yeah, we'll see what I can do.
All right, guys.
Thanks again, Tom.
Thanks. Big shout out to Tom Neely for giving us this opportunity.
Yeah, I will destroy you.
I will destroy you.com, and we will catch you next time.